And so, hello there, welcome back to the Writing Advice Q&A. Max here. I'm not home. Have you missed all of the videos from the last week? I'm not home. I'm at Kitty's place because of reasons, which means I don't have my recording set up. This ain't even my camera, and videos are gonna look a little funky. A few days back, almost a week now I guess, depending on where you are in the future, I was tweeting at him like, hey, videos are gonna look real funky for a while. At least for like a week. I don't know if I'll be staying any longer. But this week's Writing Advice Q&A is gonna be a little silly. Probably on the short side. Hopefully on the short side. Today, we're going to be talking about the idea of Overwriters versus Underwriters. Do you write too much? Do you write too little? Does it matter? We'll find out together. But before I go on anywhere, I want to let you know, if you have a writing advice question, leave it in the comments down below. I will give you an answer as soon as I can, and I will also add it to the pile of questions that may get featured in a future writing Q&A. Before I go on anywhere else, I want to let you know that the following is merely just my advice, my opinion, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel, instead take it as the ramblings of a silly person who looks a little bit, or rather precisely like this. Alright, Overwriters versus Underwriters. I'm gonna tell you my experience. I'm gonna tell you what kind of Pokemon are you? I'm gonna tell you what sort of writer I am, how this has affected me, and then I'm gonna turn the mic in your way to hear what you have to say. Are you an underwriter? Are you an overwriter? How has that affected your writing experience? First off, I guess I'll just slide right in. I don't think there is anything inherently wrong with being an overwriter or an underwriter. I feel like the language in that particular terminology implies that they're both wrong, or that they're both not optimal, and that the optimal thing would be to be in the middle. And now I think that's silly, primarily because every writer is different, and to assume that like, if you want to be optimal or good, you have to be one way, that's just silly. Now, with that disclaimer, I guess, out of the way, what am I? I feel, when I'm writing, even now that I'm writing by hand, I feel that I am an overwriter. I feel that I say too much. I feel that I don't want to use the term word vomit, but I feel like I just kind of get it out there, you know? Like, just project it, you know? I feel like I do that. I honestly feel like I do that. And even now that I'm writing by hand, I stop myself from just like cutting or scratching things out, mostly because I know from my experience that what matters for me the most is just to have those words on the page, because it's easier to cut them out later. I think I am an overwriter. But then when I go to editing, and this happens every time, by the way, this is not just once or twice, every time. When I go to edit, I find that I have to plug back in like 5 to 10% more words to clarify myself. I guess, I mean, mathematically speaking, that would make me an underwriter. I guess when it boils down to things, I end up writing not enough. And during the revision process, I end up having to extend sentences or break them up into 2 sentences and expand on both of those to clarify what I'm trying to say. And the reason why I feel very strongly about that and why I don't think it's inherently a bad thing is because clarity is key so that your reader understands what you're trying to say. Ultimately, this is not about who wrote the most or who wrote the least or who's going to have to chop out the most or have to add the most later on. What matters here is that at the end, the final product is clear and that the reader understands it. That's how I feel about it. And seriously, I go through the same ritual like every single time I write a book. I'm writing a book right now, and I feel that I'm saying too much. I feel like I'm saying too much, and I can already feel certain sentences, certain passages, where I'm like, I'm gonna have to clarify the geography of this location so that the upcoming fight scene actually makes any gosh doodly darn sense. And that's fine. That's part of writing. And I know that when you're writing your first book and you're stuck in the first draft, and especially like the middle of the first draft, it's easy to get bogged down with a lot of things that you feel as though are getting in the way. This is the same mentality that leads to people editing their work as they go because they feel that that's gonna save them time. That's gonna keep them from having to edit more later on. You may think that you're saving time, but here's a little tip for you. Nothing wastes time like trying to save time. You may be thinking to yourselves, Max, if I edit it as I go, I won't have to edit it as bad later. No, you're wrong. You're gonna have to edit it no matter what. So, as I start to die from the heat, I think that ultimately it doesn't really matter how many words you get in there, how many words you have to take out. At the end of it all, as long as the end product is clear and the reader understands, they will fall into the tune that you're singing, the melody you're conducting. They will understand what you're trying to say, and they will follow the story. They'll become immersed in it. Now, I'm dying right now. Not literally. I mean, I can't possibly be, because I'm still going to be editing this video, so I should be okay, I think. But it's really hot, and I have to edit these videos, and I have a bunch of other work to do. So for the time being, thank you for tagging along. This is just my advice, how I feel about it, and I would love to hear what you have to say. Are you an overwriter? Are you an overwriter? Are you an underwriter? How do you feel about it? How has that affected your writing experience? Do you have a different point of view? Because I would love to hear what you have to say. It's entirely likely that I'm missing a point. It's super likely. So let me know what you think, as well as leaving your questions for future videos. For the time being, as we roll into the outro, if you want to support my content and make sure that I can continue on making videos for the foreseeable future, please consider checking out my Patreon. It's a cool website where you can get cool perks by helping fund my content. Additionally, if Patreon is not your cup of coffee, how about a cup of tea instead? This is water. It's too hot to be drinking tea, but I would still appreciate your one-time donation. Link in the description down below. I'm dying. Okay, what else? Oh yeah, a joke I wanted to make. Every time I was saying Overwriter, in my mind I'm thinking Overwatch, you know? The former members of Overwriters. That would be like a really funny, like, if you're like a group of people who write exclusively Overwatch fanfiction, call yourself the Overwriters, okay? That one's free. No, you don't have to give me no money, okay? That one's free, you can have that, okay? That one's for you. Anyhow, outro, formal outro. Writing advice video playlist up here. Over 200 writing advice videos that are waiting for you. Down here, my Patreon. Up here, Pixel Face, where you can click on it to subscribe. And down here, a link to my other channel with Kitty. With Kitty, we were very, very, very silly people. People. Thank you for tagging along. It's way too darn hot. Thank you for tagging along, and I hope to see you next time.